I don't know what the we're doing with leaving Herbert Burns in the UFC. This guy's got to be the biggest I've ever seen in my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode here on Locked Door MMA. We're your hosts. I'm Brevin, and this is my good buddy JP. JP, how you feeling today, man?
Uh, um, Shocked to say the least. I don't know. Mind scrambled. There's crazy outcomes, man. Chaos.
We'll go over those crazy outcomes in this video, but before we do, we just want to give a quick appreciation to all of you as our viewers, our subscribers, those who interact with us on a weekly basis. We do appreciate it, and that's what keeps us going week in and week out, continuing to bring you guys the great content that we do every single week. There's a UFC card. Without further ado, in this video, we're going to be talking about outcomes of UFC 305, Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. I'll hand it over to you, JP, to take us through the first fight on this card.
Yeah, man. Stuart Nickel, Jesus Aguilar. Um, Stuart didn't look bad, I would say, to start it. Um, Funny thing was that I thought while we were watching it is the choke that he had in was very deep, but I was distracted by listening to DC and Dominic argue about whether he was unconscious or not. And DC was like, "He's out," and Dominic goes, "No, he's not." And then he got up and the dude's asleep, and they all start laughing. But yeah, man, we said Nickel, but Jesus is gonna be far and away the best guy that he's faced so far in his career. And Jesus looked good. I mean, I didn't think Nickel looked bad up until that point, but I mean, you get to this high level, man, you make these mistakes, how minute they might seem and how fast they go on the ground, and people choke you out, people sub you up, man. So, yeah, it wasn't bad. Jump to Gilly. Gillies don't work in high level MMA, is what we say all the time, but is this high level yet? We don't know. But sucks for the Aussie guy. He had the crowd behind him and took a nap, went to sleep.
Yeah, definitely. Nickel coming in to this fight with a lot of hype behind his name. Aguilar, however, has a lot of um, momentum going into this one as well. I mean, the big KO victory I talked about in the breakdown video, and then now a submission victory. He seems very well rounded. He's very scrappy. He's quick. He's very well put together. He's strong. And we saw that in this fight and his last fight. Aguilar is looking pretty tough in this division. We'll see if he can continue to climb the ranks.
Yeah, dude
All
only
right, next,
landed 3 strikes.
yeah, and that's perfectly fine. Go
That's
in and get the
funny.
W. Next fight, Song Kanan versus Ricky Glenn.
This one was kind of surprising for the fact that Song couldn't put him away. Ricky also, I can't stand when these guys are getting punched in the mouth for 15 minutes, and you're like at the end of the round when the bell dings, Song goes to walk back to his corner, and Ricky's standing there, mean mugging him,
Pointing.
pointing at him. What the hell are we doing? You're getting your shit kicked in. You are not winning the fight. Nobody thinks you're winning the fight. It's just weird to me. But Song looked good. Song looks strong. Ricky Glenn can eat a shot, I guess, but he's not good. Song by sub didn't hit. Song by KO didn't hit either. A lot of people bet Song by KO, so surprised that it went all 15, but yeah, it was a good win there.
Certainly am as well, especially with how Glenn looked in there. I initially going into the fight, he's from Iowa. Okay. I'm a little biased because I'm also from Iowa. And I said, hey, this kid's going to be tough. This dude's going to be tough. Well, his MMA skills aren't there, but he certainly is tough. And I think that was the story of the fight. He ate a lot of big shots from Song Kanan.
Yeah, he did.
And Kanan's a big dude. He's a muscly dude. And you could see it kind of wearing on him. He was running out of breath, getting tired just because he was unloading all that power on Ricky Glenn's face. And let's talk about the freaking bump on his
Oh
head. It
God.
was this guy's head was morphed into a different part of the body. I don't even know how to explain it. Go look it up, find the images. Maybe I'll post it on here for you guys. I don't know. Maybe it'll get taken down because it's disgusting. This thing was a welt on the side of his head, and his head was a different shape. He looked like an alien. But I mean, it speaks volumes to how tough he was, but it also shows how good Kanan was in this fight, even though he was getting a little gassed. I mean, it was a high pressure fight. They were just going nonstop. Ricky Glenn was just on the opposite end of those strikes, taking them to the dome.
Yeah, man. It reminds me of what was it, Joanna and Wei Lee when Joanna's
Oh
head
yeah.
was holy cow.
Yep.
Crazy.
Dismantled.
Crazy, man. He had an egg on his forehead. Next one, also kind of surprising at this one. Tom Nolan, Alex Reyes went all 15.
Yeah, if you guys recall, this one, Nolan was the minus 1100 favorite when we broke down the fight. And it went all 15 minutes, which was very surprising. Reyes, he was tough, but he never really did much with the opportunities that he had. Nolan looked in control. Nolan at times gets a little reckless. He moves a little too quick. He lands a couple big strikes, and instead of staying patient, he'll rush in for the finish, and it gets him into these negative situations where Reyes was even able to take his back for a short period of time, but Nolan still was able to find the home for his strikes, his very long rangy kicks. Those were impressive. The spinning wheel kicks to the head. I thought one of those was going to find its home. Never really did, but they still landed hard. I mean, even though they're blocked, it can still impact your opponent's arms, takes the power out of their punches. So great strategy, and he looked to strike very well. Hopefully, he can continue to figure out his ground game and then his IQ, I think, is also going to come into play. When to rush in, when to take his time, knowing when you have your opponent hurt, so on and so forth. But good win for Nolan. You may have been sweating a little bit. If you did somehow or for some reason put money on Nolan, you may have been sweating, but he was able to get the job done.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we said about how big the line was. It shouldn't have been this big. Yeah, he won, but minus 1400. If you're minus 1400, go in there and knock the guy the fuck out. You know? Don't go all 15 with Alex or Reyes. I don't know. Like you were saying, I think his ability to land shots is there, but then it's just a finish ability. Like, are you going to stay patient, keep your range, pick your shots? Or are you just going to rush in? He rushed in. Alex Reyes isn't a big guy, but I guarantee you if Tom Nolan fights a big guy who can wrestle, when you rush in to put him away, he'll just level change and grab you, take you down, throw you around. So, but good win by Nolan. That was a decent one.
Yeah, I like Tom Nolan. Hopefully, we can get some better money lines moving forward against, opponents that he should beat. Just because I'd like to bet on the guy, but I've never had the opportunity to.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Next fight, talk about understanding when to go in, when to rush in, and when to not. Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. JP, how do you think
Oh.
this fight played out?
Jack Jenkins, Brevin's lock, hammered it. All right, Jenkins came through beautifully. I don't know what the fuck we're doing with leaving Herbert Burns in the UFC. This guy's got to be the biggest bitch I've ever seen in my life. He cannot strike. He falls to the ground and just lays there. Literally props himself up with one hand for the back of his head and crawls around. Jenkins beat his leg up. Herbert Burns quits constantly in his mind. His corner screaming at him, "You got this, do this, do this." They're trying to give him pointers and shit. He wants nothing to do with it. He's looking away, not talking to them. They have to constantly keep getting his attention again. Dude doesn't want to get up off the ground. One big gripe is, Jack, you're beating his ass. You are beating his ass. Okay, but you drop him and then you're on top of him and then he scrambles and pulls you into half guard. At the end of the fight, he did it. Just back up. Have the ref stand him up. Make the dude make a conscious decision to stand back up on his feet and still get his ass beat more. Don't even bother going to the ground, kicking at his legs, trying to get grounded, pound. Nah. Just make him stand up. At the end of the fight, backs up, makes him stand up. What does Herbert do? Lay there. Doesn't get up. I mean, get him out. Back-to-back fights, lost with exhaustion. This was clarified as a TKO. It's exhaustion. He quit. He's a bum. Get him out of the UFC.
Yeah, 100% agreed. This guy's terrible. I told you guys in the breakdown video, this guy's a quitter. He's a pussy. He lays there and he won't get back up. I mean, dude, you are a fighter in the UFC, the highest level that you possibly could reach as a professional fighter. I couldn't stand to coach a guy like this, to be honest with you. They're sitting there, like JP said, trying to get his attention, trying to get him bought in. He looks like he doesn't want to be there. Bro, if you don't want to be there, trust me, you're not going to be next week. Your ass is going to get cut. Dana White's not going to put up with that shit. This is 2 fights now that they literally have to put in the reason for the stoppage of the fight, exhaustion from damage. And it's not even like he's exhausted. This was in round 3, bro. The guy's just a pussy. I don't know how to explain it to you guys other than the dude's a quitter. This is why I made Jack Jenkins my lock. It went exactly how I thought it would. Calf kicks were beautiful. The boxing was beautiful, and Burns can't strike, so he just lays down and hopes that guys enter his guard, which didn't happen. Jenkins just stood over him. I thought that was a hell of a power move. Just stand there and stare over,
Yeah, that was
stand
crazy.
over him and stare him down at the end of the round. I'm like,
Right.
golly, he's going to take a photo of that and put it as his profile picture on Facebook. Because that was pretty badass. I mean, he looked like a superhero defeating a villain, and Herbert Burns is terrible at fighting. He's terrible at fighting. I mean, just go back to your freaking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu no-gi championships, dude. That's what you do, bro. Don't come into the UFC and make a mockery of yourself or of the sport itself. Bro, we need some tough guys that can get back up to their feet. You don't, I mean, some of these other guys too. Even though like they're not as tough, they're at least getting back up to their feet, bro. This is just embarrassing. Not only for him, but for the sport. Get him out of here.
100%. I mean, I don't know anybody that likes getting punched in the face, but Jesus Christ, bro. You're making yourself look terrible. I I got nothing else to say. I'm not wasting more time on this. Dude's ass. Good win for Jenkins. Brevin's lock hit. Let's go, baby. Next one. This one surprised me. Casey O'Neill, Luana Santos. How'd you feel?
I didn't get to watch all this fight. I did have to attend an event last night, so the rest of these fights, JP is going to give you the most in-depth breakdown, but I'll kind of give you my thoughts as far as looking at the statistics, as well as kind of what I read after the fact. But Casey O'Neill versus Luana Santos. Santos didn't really look like herself. I mean, we saw flashes of really good things in prior fights, like JP said. A couple weeks ago, she was our lock. She fought really well. She's dancing after the fight, all that, and that's great. Casey O'Neill, top 15 fighter. She looked pretty sharp. The striking was there, and she was never really threatened with getting taken down. There was never any respect of Santos's power and striking on the other end of it, and she just had her way, honestly, on the feet. Unanimous decision victory, not even close. Good for O'Neill. I didn't really think it was going to happen like that, exactly why we picked Santos, but I mean, something to consider moving forward because that was just not a good showing from Santos at all.
No, not one bit. Like you said, she didn't look like herself. Not at all. Casey looked good. She looks like she's improving. Um, and I don't know what Luana was doing. She didn't implement her game plan. I don't know if I mean we told you when she was our lock. She's wild when she strikes. And this fight, I think it was a story of Casey understanding that and Casey being more technical and just letting Luana come to her. And Luana didn't have anything for her, man. Casey looked good. I don't know. I thought Luana was gonna outclass her, but another
Yep.
shocker on the card, I guess.
Another shocker. It was what it was. I mean, we'll learn from it. These women's fights are sometimes hard to predict because ultimately it's most likely going to decision. It's just about who can implement their game plan better. Last night, Santos didn't. So that was the story of that fight. Now we get into a really crazy fight. I know that we'll probably talk about this quite a bit. You may have heard about this elsewhere if you're looking at some news from last night. Ricardo Ramos versus Joshua Kulabau.
Our Aussie parlay was literally gonna hit. It was 2 seconds away from hitting. Okay, until one or two of these fucking. I gotta settle down because I'm gonna lose my mind. I lost my mind last night. This was the worst robbery I've ever seen in my life. Okay, we'll talk about it later. One of the judges got let go halfway through the fucking card. What are we doing, dude? Josh Kulabau clearly won the fight. Clearly won the fight. The only thing Ramos had that whole fight was a deep. He had his back, the deep rear naked, and Kulabau sat there. He was fine. Showed you if you relax and not freak out and just work your way through it, you'll be fine. Then boom, exploded out of it. Other than that, that was it. Okay, if we're talking about not even total strikes, I won't give you total strikes. We'll just go off significant strikes. Kulabau had 70 to Ramos' 27. What the fuck are we talking about? Oh, you might say, oh, it's takedowns then. He was 1 for 1 with the takedown, and that was a submission attempt, and that was in the first round. Other than that, nothing. What the hell are we talking about? And Kulabero also had a knockdown. We're saying damage trumps all. He clearly outstruck him, and he knocked him down. But we're not going to give him the what? What the fuck are we? If you're looking at that fight, how do you score for Ramos? Makes no sense to me. 0 sense to me. These were the worst judges I've seen in a long time, and they fucked our Aussie parlay because it was hitting, and we got screwed.
Yeah, we certainly did get screwed, and we also got screwed with our overall predictions as well. JP and I didn't do that great, and this was one reason why. It's fights like this that really make it difficult to predict these fights and have a great record because ultimately you can get screwed by these judges that really have no business judging fights. And you saw that last night. JP already told you a ref got let go in the middle of the card. They said, "Have a good night, sir. Your night is done. Hit the showers." And that's crazy. However, that is exactly the mentality that the UFC should have moving forward. And I don't even think it's overseen by the UFC themselves. It's through the Australian Fighting Commission. There's a lot of things that go into it. I know like the Nevada Commission is responsible whenever they're in Vegas, obviously, and so there's a lot of things that go into play. However, that should be an example for all these judges out there that you better get your shit together. Otherwise, you're going to be out of a job. And that's exactly how it should go. If JP and I didn't do our jobs, we would be fired. And that should be the same story for these UFC judges that are absolute blind. They're absolutely blind. We got Stevie Wonder out here putting numbers on a
No
scorecard.
kidding.
It's insane to me. Obviously, I didn't get to watch this fight, but JP hit my line, let me know what was going on. I looked at the stats. I'll give you the total strikes. Kulabau, 92 total strikes. His opponent, the winner of this fight, landed 39 strikes. I'm not good at math. I know JP isn't either, but something's not adding up. Okay. Kulabau won that fight. I don't care what you guys say. I mean, you can count that loss on our record. It is what it is. We'll take it on the chin. Give me a break, though, man. These judges
It's
need to get together.
I can't believe it, dude. And if we want to really break it down, go look at scoring criteria for the judges for MMA fights. Literally at the top, it says damage trumps all. A knockdown and outstruck him significantly. But nah, forget the damage. Fuck him. Mind blowing, dude. I lost my mind. That's when I knew we were already hit and miss. Win one, lose one, win one, lose one. And then this happened. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a bad night. Right then, it just changed my whole mood.
Yep. Yep. And we'll have those. We'll have bad nights, and this was certainly one of them. We will bounce back, however. And speaking of bad nights, let's talk about the next fight.
Yeah.
Walter Walker versus Junior Tafa. Another controversial fight here with some things happening after the final horn.
Yeah. Crazy. If you haven't seen it, go look it up. Okay. Tafel wasn't happy, smacking him a little bit. Had to get a bunch of security in there. Weird, man. Weird. So, if you guys remember in the breakdown video, this fight and then the Tuivasa fight were the two fights that me and Brevin were struggling with. I almost pick flipped both of them before the fight went off, and I didn't. Thank God, because I got both of them right. But Tafa and Walker, it was going down exactly how we thought it would. Okay, Tafa's walking him down, clipping him. Walker's stand up is atrocious. Walker is not good. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, he's not good. The only thing that happened was that he finally got him down. Once you get Tafa down, especially Junior Tafa, I think Justin's the better Tafa. But Junior, 1 minute 30 seconds. 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 1 Has no ground game, no get up game whatsoever. So once you get him down, that's all she wrote, folks. Got him down. They were scrambling for a little bit. Towards the end of the first round, Walker got a knee bar, and from that knee bar, they're just sitting there rolling. And he transferred from a knee bar to a heel hook, and that heel hook was very deep, very deep. His toes were tucked underneath his armpit. He was checking the clock, checking his watch. It was deep. As they're rolling, Toph is screaming. Well, if you're in a deep submission and you're screaming, I mean, and Brevin will tell you in the rule books, it's up to the ref's discretion if that's a verbal tap or not. People scream all the time when they injure themselves and the fight ends. So the ref, I guess, thought it was a verbal tap. That's the fight. Walker wins by sub. Taffa's not happy about it. Talking trash, smacking him. He almost headbutted him at one point, their forehead to forehead, flipping him off when Walker's getting announced for the win. Weird, man. Weird. Sure you didn't tap, but you screamed. Technically, even if the fight didn't end right there, what were you gonna do to get out of the heel hook? He was hoping to survive the round, I'm guessing, but I don't know, man. Crazy.
An extremely weird outcome there. But yeah, like JP said, it is in the rule book. This is part of the rules. If you are screaming during a submission, the ref can take that as a verbal tap and stop the fight. And if you want to disagree with it, why are you over there slapping the guy that just beat you? Maybe you should be slapping the ref. Either way, Alpha's probably going to get cut from the UFC. He's bad. In the aftermath stuff, Dana's really been putting his foot down, dude. I don't care what you say.
Yeah,
This guy hasn't been taking any BS as of late. So I probably would bet that Tafa's done. I mean, and he hasn't looked good on top of it. I mean, hell, they just cut a undefeated Manel Cop, or not Manel Cop, whatever his name,
Mokayev.
Mukayev,
Manelka.
Muhammad Mukayev, Manel Cop. The cop's on my mind. That's all right. I do think they cut Tafa, especially after all these shenanigans after the fight. It's ridiculous. We don't need that. It's not good for the sport. And it's just embarrassing. Another embarrassing outing for one of these fighters over there in Australia. All
100%.
right, moving on. Moving on. A good fight from my knowledge of reading about the fight. We picked Carlos Prates. Prates got it done by KO in round two over Li Jingliang. Ling Jingliang, Jingliang Li. All right, we get it.
Jingling.
Tell me about the fight.
Tough crowd, man. um, yeah, Carlos Prates, he is who we thought he was. Disgusting on the feet. He was long. Lee's tough. I mean, the Leech is tough. Everybody knows that. He's got a big old head, like I said earlier. Um, First guy to finish the Leech. Knocked him down twice. I kind of felt bad for him, dude. Because he was beating
He
his
was out
ass.
cold.
Yeah, he was beating his ass. Um, this was towards the end of the second round. I was at some point I was like, if this goes to the third round, it's gonna be the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if his corner stops it, because he's one of the guys that too tough for his own good. He was
Mm-hmm.
getting clipped up. He didn't like crazy outstrike him, like significance 55-41. The significant total strikes are the exact same stat, so it's not like a crazy outstrike. But Prates' shots were just so much cleaner, crisper. They landed harder. Leach was constantly backing up and moving. And when you're doing that and getting touched up at the same time, God, it's so exhausting and hard. Second time gets clipped with a left hand, fell over. Didn't look like he went out cold. And then when they went back to him, he's sleeping on the ground on his back. Like legitly, I think taking a nap because he was so exhausted and almost got knocked out. He just decided to take a nap. The doctors are just watching him just sleep. And then he rolls over and gets up. Sucks for Leach. He's old. He got finished. I mean, he's had a great career, but Prates is that dude. Prates is a problem on the feet, man.
100%. That's certainly someone to keep an eye on. I know we were both very high on him going into the fight, and he showed us why we should be continuing on forward. So good win for Prates there, getting the first finish ever. Like that's always a cool thing too. Like finishing a guy for the first
Okay.
time. It's a big deal. Finishing guys. Hey now, hey now. Um, Yeah, good win for Protest. Moving on. Big boys, Biggie Boy, Jorginho Rosenstrike versus Tai Tuivasa. Now, this is when it gets really interesting. I know we told you earlier, this was the exact fight that judge got fired on the spot, sent him home. Tell me about how the fight went.
Yeah, so we were talking about Culebao earlier, outstriking Ramos, and it was like 90 something strikes to 30 something strikes, right? Jarzinho outstruck Tuivasa 92 to 37. Tuivasa had no takedowns. The control time for both guys was a second. Okay? So what the fuck are we looking at? What are we basing this fight off when we're judging it? One dude gave it 30-27 to Tuivasa. What the fuck are we looking at? They said, hey, buddy, see ya. And I'm pretty sure that's the one that screwed Culebao as well. Sure, the other
For,
judge had a terrible scorecard, but you got to be kidding me.
for those that are unaware, that means that judge scored Tuivasa winning all 3 rounds, every single round.
Oh my God. How did he win all 3 rounds if he's outstruck by 60 strikes? What? That's mind blowing to me. So they said, hey, buddy, see ya. Like Brevin said, hit the showers. They probably didn't even say hit the showers. They said, you just get the fuck out. No shower for you. I mean, I'm mind blown. I'm just mind blown how you can do that. Rosenstruik clearly won the fight. Tuivasa, he, like we said, and I said I was nervous because I felt like he could clip him. Jarzinho looked real good. The Gazia fight before this, he looked good. Tuivasa tried to out kickbox a high level kickboxer. Same thing Carl Williams did against Jonata. Granted,
Yep.
Tuivasa's not going to take you down, but this is what he does. He's technical. He's a professional kickboxer for years. So went over kind of how we thought it would. Rosenstruik won. Good for Biggie Boy. Yeah, man. Wild. The judging, that's just, it's fucking unreal to me. I can't believe that.
Yeah, certainly glad Rosenstrike got it done. I'm glad JP stayed on the side of Rosenstrike. And then even after we created the video, guys, you guys heard me telling this guy, please stay on this side. I want to help a buddy out,
I
man. You're my
almost did it.
friend. You're my friend. And then later in the week, he's like, I really want to flip the picks. I'm like, okay, I mean, do as you wish, man. He never did. Got the win there. Hey,
Thank
I
God.
think JP may have paid that judge some extra cash to score it the way he did because yikes, yikes. But that's the story of the night. These judges, man, can't stand it. There's no place in the sport for that type of judging. Hopefully, they can get that addressed and fixed shortly. Next fight on this card, Dan Hooker versus Matus Gamrot. Very close fight, by the. I think it won fight of the night, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we did. Um, I mean, great fight. Great fight. We picked Gamrot. Is what it is. This is, I've been bitching this whole time about terrible judges. Okay? This fight, I'm fine with. Could have gone either way. Either way, it's not a robbery. Close fight. The way Gamrot ended the first and second round didn't look good. He's tired. He's getting clipped, falling over, reaching for ankles. To the judges, that doesn't look good, especially to end a round. Dan Hooker is such a pain in the ass to deal with. Gamrot hit him with big shots. I think he knocked him down. They didn't give him a knockdown, but Gamrot went 5 for 15 for takedowns, constantly in your face, pressure. Hooker scrambling well. Hooker gets a couple big shots on the ground in the first round. He rained like 4 of them down that Gamrot landed. Hooker's cut open, comes out the second round, still in his face, still in his face. Third round, Dan's pumping up the crowd, bleeding everywhere. His corner's trying to tell him shit like, Dan, hey, we're good, just calm down and breathe. And he starts laughing and says, I fucking love this shit. God, dude, we told you coming into this fight you cannot dislike Dan Hooker and the way he fights. Great fight. Is what it is. We lost with Gamrot pick, but I'm fine with this one. I'll take the loss. I don't even care. Good fight. Dan Hooker looked good. Could have gone either way, but yeah, crazy, man. He got the crowd going for sure.
Yeah, it's certainly fights like this that we'll live with. Picking Gamrot, seeing the split decision loss. As long as it's close, as long as the guy that we pick goes out there and implements the game plan that they should, and then that they're not fighting stupid and ultimately get an easy loss, right? Like we'll live with it. So I mean, good for Gamrot. I mean, a lot of people hate Gamrot because they call him a crotch sniffer, yada yada yada. He landed a lot of strikes on Hooker.
He
I
looked
mean,
good last fight.
I saw Hooker's face. It was beat up. So I don't think it's fair to just call him a crotch sniffer. It's not like all he does is wrestle. He's done a nice job as of late mixing in both the striking and the wrestling to his advantage. And as a strong wrestler, that's exactly what you should do. So people can hate all they want. They'll hate no matter what. I mean, in any profession and anything. Uh, all the sports. It is what it is. But, you know, Gamrot moving forward, I think he'll learn from this and be better from it. Good on Dan Hooker, though. I'm glad he had success. He's always a fun watch. He's a fun fighter. So, um, looking forward to see who they give him next and what challenges they put in front of him.
He called they asked him who he wanted next. He said anybody title shot. He said Connor.
Yeah,
um
he's just throwing names out there. Hell yeah, I
yeah,
love that mentality
he's a pain in the ass to deal with, bro. He's tough. Dan Hooker fight is, oh man, that shit was wild.
for sure. Speaking of wild, this next fight, Kai Kara France for Steve Ursig or Jake Gyllenhaal.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want
JP's
to.
lock of the night.
Ladies and gentlemen, we did not make it to double digits. We ended the streak. Going for 8-0 in the lock. And how do we end it? By getting snoozed. Kai Kara France. Beautiful combination. Okay, jab, overhand right. Didn't put a lot on the overhand right. Just got Steve to put his hands up, focus on that, step through, switch stances, boom, left hook right on the chin. Sat him down right there. Ursig tried to get up and run away. Ursig was doing the right thing. And then got him against the fence, hit him with another overhand. Then Ursig after that curled up. Some want to say it's early stoppage. Somebody I was watching the fights with here, he was saying that he thought it was a little early. It could have been, but he got clipped either way. I don't. I mean, there was a minute left in that round, so kind of a long time. If there was 10 seconds in that round, maybe I could see like,
Yeah.
okay, could have let him go, but a minute left, being that hurt. Good for Kai, man. Kai looked real good. His striking, I think he's putting it together beautifully. I mean, the combination, like I said, gorgeous combination. The Michael Chandler special, step through, switch stances. These short guys can do it well. It's almost like a blitz, but it's a controlled blitz. It was good, man. I still think Steve's good fighter. Just got clipped. I mean, it happens sometimes. Good win for Kai. Sucks. 7-1 on the locks now. So now me and Brevin have the same record for locks. We're trying to make it to double digits. Is what it is.
It is what it is. That's certainly something that can happen in the fight game. You can always get clipped. It just sucks when it's your lock of the night. It's all right. Now JP and I are back to fair and square, even Steven, right? And we'll continue to bring you some good locks. I think we got a really nice lock coming for you next week. So make sure you look for that. JP, before we move on, can we see the signature Kai Car France move with the revealing of
No,
the
no
face?
shot. No shot. That shit he does, that is wild, man. That is wild. Did it at the face off, did it to the camera.
If you guys
These Aussie, man.
don't know what I'm talking
Crazy.
about, go just search up Kai Car France at the face off. The dude's wild. Uh, I'd be a little nervous if I was his opponent. He was doing that even at the face off, and I know he did it after the fight as well. All right, now time for the main event of the evening, the big rivalry here between Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya.
So to start off, I don't know where all the hate for Izzy came from. Like in the build up, people are just picking him because they don't like him, which like I get he's a weirdo. Like dude showed up to a press conference with a dog collar on. I'm a dog. I'm about to be unleashed. What? What the hell are we talking about? You're gonna get in a fist fight. Shut up. But I mean, he's good, man. He's done so much for this division. What more do you want? 12 title fights in a row? The fuck are we talking about? I think he looked great. Dracus was trying to blitz him, do that thing that he does where he explodes forward and throws 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it's tough to deal with. Izzy was dealing with it well. He was moving. He was picking apart Dracus's legs. Um, Dracus kind of found his distance, I'd say, in the end of two, halfway through three as well. But Izzy looked good. At the beginning of the rounds, Izzy would land more. Once they got to the end of the round, then Dracus would start to land more. And early on in the fight, Izzy was stuffing his takedowns. He was defending them well. There were a couple that Dracus got, but then they'd stand right back up. Izzy got taken down in the middle of the octagon in the first round. Got all the way back to the cage, stood back up, hit him with a couple big shots. I think Izzy looked great. People are going to downplay it because they hate him and say that Dracus worked him. Nope. Watch the fight again because Izzy was winning the fight. And I'll tell you, if it goes into the fifth round, I guarantee you everybody's saying that Izzy's up on the scorecards. Well, with the judges, how they were, who fucking knows? But I think Izzy was winning the fight. Fourth round, you've been fighting for damn near 20 minutes now. Dracus clipped him with a hook on one of their exchanges, and I think that was the hook that hurt Izzy quite a bit. DC was saying it on the commentary. Izzy, as soon as that strike landed, he was evading, circling out, but Dracus kept blitzing him, and he wasn't moving his head. He was just standing there trying to circle. So I think that one hurt him pretty bad, worse than he was leading on. And then after that, he just kind of would turn around and try and circle. Dracus hit him with like 3 shots in a blitz. Scramble, got his back. Dracus was too high. Dracus head dumped himself onto the floor. If that same scramble happens in the first, second round, I think Izzy just bucks him off. And I think it's a scramble again. But Izzy didn't buck him off. He's exhausted. Had his legs trapped. Dracus did a great job of wrapping his hooks in, trapping his legs, and then Izzy rolled over. Same thing with Connor Nate. Can't roll over when they have your back like that. You got to fight the hands. Try and build your base. Can't roll over. Izzy rolls over, and that's it. Not even under the chin, more of a neck crank, but you're exhausted. Izzy tapped quick. I mean, it's a blitz that happened several times in the fight that Izzy defended bad once, and it was like a 10-second span of chaos. Boom, that's a fight. So shows you what Dracus is capable of. It just takes 10 seconds, one blitz, man. So it was good though. I'd like to see Izzy fight again.
Yeah, and I think he certainly will. It's been a little bit rough. I've always kind of been an Izzy fan. Just seeing him now take 2 losses in a row, it's just not what you're used to, man. Like you're used to seeing Izzy just fight beautifully inside the octagon, being very, very technical with the striking, getting in and out of the pocket and getting these wins. It was surprising for me to see the exhaustion going into round 4. I understand that Drickus is nonstop pressure and he has an endless gas tank, but even Drickus looked a little tired.
Mm-hmm.
But for Izzy not to be able to get him off of him, and survive was surprising, especially with what you had said earlier in that the Izzy was able to stuff the takedowns early. Normally, it's reversed. Normally, you get taken down early when the other guy has a lot of energy, and then he gets tired and you're not able to get the takedowns anymore. Sounds like this was kind of the opposite. Izzy no longer had the energy to stuff the takedowns and get out of there and get back to safety. Um, yeah, I don't know where we go from here. I'd almost like to see, and it won't happen, but I'd like to see Izzy rematch Sean Strickland only because I think that the stylistic matchup between those two favors Izzy a lot more than a guy like Drickus. I think Sean Strickland gets the Drickus rematch, which is going to be a good one because let's be honest, Sean Strickland won that first fight,
Mm-hmm.
even though we both hate Sean Strickland.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, we'll see how that plays out. I don't know who you give Izzy to. Honestly, I don't know his future opponent at this point. There's really nothing that makes a ton of sense. People are calling for his retirement. He's saying that he's not done. I don't know, but I like the guy, and I hope to see him back in the octagon fairly soon. I know DC said it in the interview. Don't take a year off this time. Get back in there, man. Um, let's make sure you're in good shape. He looked very muscular going into this one.
Yeah, he did.
Maybe that drained him a little bit. Maybe the gas tank wasn't there like it used to be. It seemed like it was always there. He could go 5 rounds and he's just gonna piece you apart from the outside. Not really the case last night, which was very intriguing to watch.
Yeah, man. One thing, I don't know if everybody saw it, Brevin. I don't know if you saw it. Pereira said he's coming back to 185. Drake has said, "Nah, don't come down to 185. I don't want no excuses because you have to coat weight." He said, "You handle business. I'll handle business one more time, and then I'll go up to 205, and we can settle it there." Um, I'd love to see Pereira fight. I'm putting money on Pereira all day long for him to starch him. Izzy hit him with some big shots, and Drake has hung in there. You cannot eat those shots against Pereira.
No, you certainly cannot. And if you do eat those shots, you best hope you're at 185. If you go up to 205, that version of Pereira is scary.
Yeah,
Very,
I was gonna
very
say
scary.
I'd rather if I'm Drakus, don't go up. What the fuck?
Let
Make
him
him cut
come
weight.
down. Yes, 100%. Because that dude at 205, he is massive. I mean, there's been talks about this guy moving up to heavyweight. Why would you want to go up to 205 to fight
Yeah.
Alex Pereira? That would be a mistake. Maybe it's all for marketing and publicity. I think at the end of the day, Alex would have to come down to 185 for Jerkis. But if that fight does
100%.
happen, oh yeah, we're hammering Pereira. You already know.
Hammer Pereira.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that was UFC 305. It didn't go the way JP and I wanted, but that's the business that we're in. Okay. At the end of the day, these are predictions. We can be wrong. Yes, we did get screwed by some judges. That happens as well. But we will bounce back next week for you guys and give you great picks. And I guarantee, and I don't guarantee very often, but I guarantee the lock comes back and hits for you guys next week. So make sure hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment on how you thought the fights went at UFC 305 because there was some craziness that certainly still needs to be addressed. But we appreciate you guys as always. And with that, JP, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, man. What a Saturday night. Okay. I've never been raw dogged by an Australian before, but first time for everything, I guess. Just whatever. Um, Crazy card. Congrats to Drakus. Excited to see what's next. Like Brevin said, it was okay. 6-6 is all right, even. But hey, the locks are still 7-1 on both sides. Me and Brevin are both still 7-1, so I'll take that all fucking day. Okay. Wanted to get to double digits, but it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, like Brevin said at the beginning of the video, thank you guys for the subs, the comments, following us, giving support. Because we're doing this, man. It's a fight game. Happens. We went crazy for 2 weeks. This is a humbling week. We'll take it on the chin, learn from it. Almost got to 70 subs, so thank you guys for that too. That was close. So let's keep that. Let's up that to 80 this next week and see
Let's
if we
get
can
80.
get there.
Get us to
Let's
80.
get 80, baby. But yeah, man. Like you said, locks hitting. Another card this coming weekend. So let's see what we can do. As always, ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure. Bingo, bango, baby. Peace.